Hi, Bluebirds. It's your favorite bird, Miss Blue, and welcome to another episode of Stories from the Bed. So, today's story time is very personal, but I feel it's a story that needs to be shared. I would like to call it my testimony in a sort. I don't know if it is or if it isn't, but I would like to call it that. But today's story time is based off the parable. Today's story time is based off of the parable of God will never give you more than you can bear. And you still have to smile and be grateful, even in the midst of what feels like darkness. So, we're going to go back to a point in life where that parable didn't really hit me until I started going through stuff, and then it hit me. So if I become emotional, it's for valid reason, but I don't think I'll become emotional, but just in case. So the year is 2010. I am a sophomore in high school. I'm a sophomore in high school. I had to think about it for a second. I was a sophomore in high school. My high school boyfriend had dumped me a few months prior, right at the beginning of summer vacation. That's another story time for another day. I think I told that one though. I'm not sure. But but it's the beginning of the school year. It's the beginning of the school year. So school's going fine, classes, friends, this, that, and the third. Same old, you know? Same old. So for the first few months, it's going okay. So I want to say October, October of 2010 is when everything changed. It was not freezing, but it was cold because the weather was changing. It was October. I remember I was walking home. I was getting off the bus. I was walking home. It's a regular day. Nothing out of the ordinary went wrong. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was just a regular day. So I'm walking home. I get in the house. My mom always left the door unlocked for me and my brother whenever we was coming home. So he was already home. It was just me. So I'm coming in the house. My mom is crying. There's bags all over the living room. My brother's in the back with bags. And I'm just like, hey, Ma, I'm going to the bathroom. She's like, I got to tell you something. I said, okay, let me go use the bathroom right quick. So I go to the bathroom. I come out. And she's explaining to me how she was sitting in the living room that morning. And these men started breaking on the door, confused because they didn't know somebody was in the apartment because she was screaming. Because somebody was like trying to break in. At least that's what I'm thinking, right? So she says they were men coming in to clear out the apartment. We had an eviction. And this unit was on the list for the eviction. Why she didn't receive the paper, or if she received the paper and just didn't tell us and just thought something will work out, I have not the foggiest. I never bothered to ask her. It is what it is. I just never bothered to ask her. So she was crying with them, pleading with them, like, please, my babies are at school. Can I at least wait till my babies get home so we could get our stuff? Like, I can't just sit out here with all the stuff and this, like, please, please, please. So whoever these men were, to this day, I say thank you and bless them because they had a heart and compassion And I believe she said one of them was a parent himself. So even though he was sad that he had to do it, it was part of his job, he understood where she was coming from. So he called the property manager of the complex, explained the situation, and blessed her too, because she was graceful about it. And they was like, all right, we'll give you guys till 7 o'clock. I got off at school let out, I think at 3:15. I got home about 3:30 before 4 o'clock, so it was 3 hours. So that was 3 hours time. So I said, okay, I'm sad, I'm distraught, because we literally were living in that apartment since I was like 3. No, sorry, like 4. 4 going on 5. So my whole life basically was in this apartment. So, and I remember I'm a sophomore in high school, which means I'm like 14, like 13 or 14 by now. So I'm like, okay, I was sad, I was distraught, but I was like, okay, we gotta do what we gotta do. We wanted to move out of there for the longest anyway. This complex was just like mice, roaches, water damage. Something was always going on. Fights, people trying to, like, it was ghetto. So I was sad, but I wasn't too sad because we was trying to get out of there for the longest, right? So we get out, we were packing our stuff. My mom is trying to call family members. And I'm probably going to ruffle feathers with this video, but this is my truth and my story, so I'm just going to lay it out there like it is. I'm grown now. Can't beat me for it. So I don't know what the deal was with my mom and her siblings. I have not the foggiest idea. I have not the foggiest clue. Because everybody has different accounts, and some people just want to act like it just did not happen. But I witnessed it. So none of her siblings, she was the only girl, so the rest were boys. None of her brothers who lived here anyway, let me rephrase that. None of her siblings who were here and who lived in the DMV were picking up the phone, wanted to help. One sibling did offer for us to come with them like a year prior, but all of a sudden the phone call stopped answering. We couldn't go, this, that, and the third. You know, come to find out, the girlfriend at the time just didn't want us there. So he followed the girlfriend's rules. So, and mind you, my mother took both of these siblings in at different points when we were living in that apartment. Took them both in, even though there was no room, because family is family. So the fact that she did all of that for them, because again, I remember, the fact that she did this for them when she didn't have to, feeding them when she didn't really have enough to feeding them still, and all of that, took in their families as well, with the fact that my mom did that for them and they couldn't even return the favor when it came for our dark moment. That spoke volumes to me. And even then, that broke my heart. Because like I keep repeating, I remember. But I digress. So nobody was picking up this, that, and the third. Now there's one more sibling, but that'll be later on in the story. But a family friend who we met through one of the siblings here, by chance, just so happened to answer the phone. Because she was just trying to call anybody, because we only had 3 hours time. So she was crying on the phone, saying, you know, with the situation, this, that, or the third. He said, give me 10 minutes and I'll call you right back. He talked to his wife at the time, explained what the situation was. We had only seen them twice, which was like at Thanksgiving functions with the other siblings. So we only saw them like twice. But explained the situation. Wasn't even 10 minutes. It was like 5 minutes. Call back. and said, pack as much as you can. I'ma come get y'all. You gonna come stay with us. Still technically didn't know him. But the fact that he did it, talked to his wife, no hesitation. Only seeing them all of 2 times. But he was like, pack as much as you can. If it's not important, don't take it. Pack as much as you can. I'll come get y'all in an hour. I'll come get y'all in an hour. So, packing my clothes, getting my shoes, my uniforms, everything I could think of, right? Trying to take remembrance, again, anything I could think of. Grabbed it, right? So, all of our memorabilia, all of our stuff from when we were little, all of that. We managed to take, the other sibling did manage to pick up the phone after the fact. So grabbed it. He said he would take the important memorabilia stuff and he'd take it over his house. He ended up losing his house, didn't tell us, which means all of our stuff got auctioned off. And to this day, that breaks my heart because I have nothing to show my kids when I have kids. All my pictures, our baby pictures with all our milestones, all our Christmases, all the memorabilia that most parents keep, I don't have nothing to show my future kids, and neither does my brother. All of our videotapes with our birthdays and stuff like gone. I have nothing to show my future children. And that always breaks my heart when I think about that. It breaks my heart. So, cut to still 2010, going into 2011 because this was October. We're staying with the family friend, and everything is going fine until 6 months going into 6 months before going into 2012. It's so much that took place right there. I'm not comfortable talking about it, but it was so much that took place. We had to leave. I'll just put it like that. We had to leave. So by this point, my mom is talking to her mother, my grandmother, this, that, and the third. The last sibling who lives out in a different state was talking to her. It's like, I'm not liking what's going on down there. I'm not liking this. This is not okay. This is not cool. Why didn't so-and-so help you out? Why didn't, talking about the other siblings. Well, why didn't so-and-so help you? Why didn't, I'll handle them. Pack your stuff. You coming up here with us. So, the other sibling lives in a different state because at the time they were in the service. So, that's why they weren't where we were. So, we pack up and we move. We move all the way to Washington. That's how I ended up being in Washington for a few years. I know you guys heard me talk about that in previous story times and stuff, but that's how we ended up getting up to Washington. So, it's November. It's right before Thanksgiving break. If memory serves me correctly, we moved 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken. Literally right in the middle of Thanksgiving break. It was somewhere in that time frame. So I am all over the place mentally. I'm stressed. I'm upset because this was going into my senior year. So I never even got to do my senior year with my friends, go to prom with my senior friends. None of that. I started off senior year in the DMV, but again, we moved in the middle of November going into Thanksgiving break. So I started it off with them, but I didn't finish it with them. So I am depressed for a totally different reason. Again, when you have kids, teens, and stuff like that, you grew up. I grew up with them. Half of us went to middle school together. Some of us even went to elementary school together. So, literally growing up with these people. So to be taken out of that and thrown into a fishbowl of people you don't know their personalities, didn't get a chance to grow with these people, have bouts and disagreements and stuff like that. I had a different set of depression, but depression nonetheless, because I was leaving my friends and I didn't want to. I went to prom, granted, but it didn't feel the same because it wasn't with the people that I went to school with. It wasn't the same. I had fun, but it wasn't the same. It was just like I graduated. I graduated on time, but it wasn't the same because it wasn't with the people that I went through all 4 years with, who I could be proud of when we walked across the stage. It wasn't the same. So, and by this point, my mom's health is really starting to decline. So then my depression is in a whole other sense. So watching her health decline, and then she's not wanting to better herself. We thought she was taking her meds the whole time. She was spitting them in a bag. How we found that out was one day we went to visit her in the hospital. She asked us to take the bag home. Took it home. It was heavy. So I'm cleaning it out. And it's like like the little donut bags in the grocery store. It was like a donut bag full of pills. She wasn't even taking the pills. When I say that the family was pissed, and rightfully so. So, between watching my mom's health decline, my mental declining, in the sense of like emotionally and spiritually and stuff like that, but I still knew everything happened for a reason. It ties into the theme of the story time. I promise y'all. But I never lost faith. And now, we were going to church because that was the rule up there. We had to go to church. But it felt more like a chore then because it was a demand that my uncle had put in. Like, you have to. So, I want to make this very, very clear for anybody in faith. You have to be careful how you do it. Yes, you want the salvation for your family. Yes, we know not everybody's going to go, but still, nonetheless, you tell about it. You speak about Jesus. Yes, but you're not supposed to force them per se. You want them to pursue him on their own. Yes, you still pray for them and everything else, but you want them to pursue him on their own. And I think the pastor had told him that. They should want to seek him for themselves, but it's not wrong to help them out. But don't make it feel like a chore. So anybody in faith, just to be mindful of that. Don't shove it down somebody's throat. Talk about him, what he's done for you, his works, this, that, and the third. Do it in a way where it doesn't feel like you're mashing it down the person's throat. Because that will, in turn, actually turn the person away, actually. So just be careful how you go about it. And pray about how to actually do it so they won't turn away. I would say just do that. Just pray and ask, how can I bring them to you without feeling like I'm hitting them with a belt to do it? So we went, but again, it felt like a chore. So I was paying attention, but I wasn't fully paying attention. But I was paying attention nonetheless. And I remember there was this one specific Sunday we went, and the pastor was talking about he'll never put more on you than you can bear. And everything happens for a reason, even when it seems like you don't understand why it's happening. But everything comes to fruition in some way, shape, or form, even if it's years down the line. So still to praise him, still to worship, even in the bad times, not just in the good times or when you just need help. And that stuck out to me because I realized that's what I was doing. I was only talking to him when stuff was going bad. I wasn't talking to him when things were going good. I wasn't talking to him just to talk to him. So I was like, oh, okay. And again, as I've repeated in past videos, some people won't seek him. Some people have sought him and just lost and just went back into their ways. But if you grew up in faith, you never really lose it. But sometimes in life, you just lose your way. My grandma was taking us to church even when we were little. So I never forgot him. I just went into my ways, my flesh. So this wasn't anything I hadn't heard before, if you get what I'm saying. It wasn't anything I hadn't heard before. But going into young adulthood, it had a different meaning than when it did when I was a child. So by this point, my mother is in her waning, basically her last breath almost. And even in all of that, I still was keeping optimism, trying not to let it show that I wasn't okay. But I forgot that it was okay to not be okay. I genuinely forgot that it was okay to not be okay. I felt that I had to be okay. And then my family kept putting on me the pressure of you have to be strong for your brother. You have to be strong for your grandma. And I'm like, I get that. But who's going to be strong for me? Who can I lean on if it seems like everybody is supposed to be leaning on me? I am the oldest. Technically not the oldest. But in the household, I was the oldest because it was me and my little brother. And I'm older than him. So I genuinely feel, to no fault of their own, and I don't hold any grudges or anything about it, but I genuinely believe that my family forgot that I was still a child. And they put me in the mindset of an adult, even though I was not an adult. And that was very, very, very annoying. That was very, very, very annoying. Only because when I would mess up and do things that adults wouldn't do, I got chastised about it. But in my head, I'm like, I'm not an adult though. I'm not an adult. So therefore, I'm not going to think with the mindset of not to do this. That's not the adult thing to do. I'm not going to think like that because I'm not an adult. I'm still a kid. I was only like, when my mom's health started declining, I was only like 17, 18, 19. Granted, it's older young adult, but a young adult teen nonetheless. I'm not 20. I'm not 30. And even at 20, you still don't know what you're doing. I'm 31 and I still don't know what I'm doing. But like, so I feel that they genuinely forgot. It will put me in these bubbles of like, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to act like this. I'm like, but I'm not though. You can't expect me to act like this or think this way when I'm not. And when I would try to say that, I got chastised for being smart. And I couldn't win for losing, basically. I could not win for losing. Like when I tried to stand up for myself, I got chastised and berated almost. When I didn't say anything, Why ain't you speaking up? Why ain't you? I just legit could not win for losing. And that put me in even more and more of a depression. Even more and more of a depression. To the point, even after she died, it's all tying into the parable of the story, I promise you. But even after the fact, it was just like, I'm trying not to get emotional, but it was just like, I was trying so hard, even after. But even after she passed, I always felt sometimes like, yo, I think you guys forgot that I'm still a child. I just lost my mom. And you guys didn't even really give me a proper chance to grieve her. It was like, okay, she died. Time for you to go into the adult world. Go get a job. Do this, do that, do this. And it was a lot. I did not have a proper chance to grieve her. I didn't. I did not have a proper chance to grieve my mother. I didn't. I did not. I didn't have a proper chance to grieve her, which led to even more going into bouts of depression and anxiety. And it was just, But I realized my time is up. So I'm going to have to break this up into 2 parts. But I promise you, this story, once I get to the end, it's all going to make sense. But that's all I'm going to share for right now. So make sure you like and comment and subscribe. And I'll be back for part 2. Remember to be the best you that you could be, and nobody could be you like you could be you. So, mwah.